This one will be difficult. Goodbye Eri is a one-shot written by Tatsuki Fujimoto. And truly, what more is there to say than that? Maybe nothing else I could possibly talk about or analyze could be enough. You know the man, his eccentricities and uniqueness, and perhaps you know the story. Maybe you've seen some of these images cast up upon these digital hallways whence you and I and others like we travel lonesome and solitary. If there was a word I would use to describe Goodbye Eri, it would probably be vague. You may have heard this from others, but one of the aspects of brilliance that Tatsuki Fujimoto employs is in the paneling. And I think this is the piece that might emphasize that point the most excellently. Almost the entire story is laid out and viewed as if from a camera lens. You see what it sees, and as such the panels are laid out in storyboard fashion and emphasize small, minute movements in exchange for grand sweeping vistas or perhaps excruciating detail. Say one thing about Fujimoto, say he can panel. And because of that intentional choice, what is real and what is fake becomes vague and blended. It is not so that the narrator is unreliable, but the lens by which we view the story is flexible. Sometimes it captures fantasy, and sometimes it captures reality, but almost never is it clear which is which and when they switch. It is the essence of creation to be enveloped in something so fully that you yourself dissolve into it, become one with it, and eventually relish as you are subsumed by it. There is a lot here. The story is dense and rich, a compounded extract of anxiety, hope, confusion, and love. When I read Goodbye Eri, I get the sense sometimes that I have listened to one half of a conversation between Fujimoto and someone else, that I have seen something intimate, and that I should not have overheard it. I get that feeling within Goodbye Eri that there is a degree of anxiety toward the very aspect of creation itself, as to its purpose in the face of a compounded and vaguely uncaring reality. And I think there is something to that in the way that Fujimoto draws expressions. They are all at once incomprehensible, intimate, overwhelming, and subtle. There is no other I can think of off the top of my head who can convey the somehow contrasting polarity of alienness and intimacy all at once that he does. Humans don't really make these expressions, not exactly, and yet somehow they ring true. Take for instance Yuta, who is seemingly confused and vague about these things. His expressions are often small, and when he shows more than a glance, it in some ways feels like acting. Not in that what he is feeling isn't genuine, but in that he is struggling for the correct way to express the sensations of life. This struggle captured in the story's themes of why. Why does he do what he does? Why did he say yes? Why does he continue to film? Why does he continue to edit? There is supposition that what he feels is happiness, but that is all. Then sometimes he can get caught up in the moment. He doesn't think about a reaction or expression and just lets that river of life catch him and carry him along. And I think one of the main reasons for that is Eri herself. Can this man create a goddamn character? Bravo, Fujimoto. Let's just take this first panel that we see, Eri. What is this expression? Can you tell me exactly with certainty? There is so much here, and it's the same in all of her looks, glances, and gazes. They are knowing and alien, older than anything I can imagine. There is sometimes sadness or playfulness, the glance of a slightly cruel trickster, amusement and joy, and then the eyes of someone who has seen far too much and is just left tired. And then, again, they light up and are filled with something that makes going on worth it. Let me show you a movie. Let's go to the beach. Let's eat ice cream. Hey, you want to reshoot that scene? You know the one. Every single panel of Goodbye Eri feels like I am being shown something special and unique and wonderful. It is a strange and beautiful thing, story, whatever you want to call it. It is a paneled manga structured like a movie. It blends and transcends mediums to create something that could not exist without either. Without the knowledge of storyboard paneling or lenses and camera theory, or the structure of manga one-shots, Goodbye Eri could not exist as it currently does without both of these things. And I guess that leads us into one of the reasons I wanted to make this video. If you have hung around my channel for long enough, you will see we got videos on all kinds of things. Books, animation, movies, manga, web serials. Oftentimes I see people who take a focus into one avenue or another, which makes sense. But in bridging these mediums, we can come up with ideas and concepts that could never have existed within our own. Sometimes this is more prevalent than other times, but knowledge is knowledge, experience is experience. Sometimes people ask me if viewing animation or graphic novels makes my writing weaker. Why would it? Sometimes I have been asked why I read books if I am so interested in film, because the essence is the same. I love the idea of blending mediums, playing around with structure and character, method and plot. Oftentimes this will result in disaster, yes, no doubt. But when it doesn't, we are treated to something truly special. If you want to write, and read, yes, but experience things from beyond your scope. And true enough, with each and every other medium, expansion, evolution, and adaptation. We, my friends, live in a time period with many troubles and complications. But we also live in a time where an unimaginably huge catalog of human stories exist, crafted in every medium you can imagine, and all of it just kind of lays at your fingertips. Why not take a taste? Goodbye Eri is this essence made physical, proof of concept and success all in one, a brilliant and complex display as dense as anything I could imagine. Goodbye Eri is wonderful, and it leaves me with an emotion I cannot place. I don't know how much of Goodbye Eri's ending is literal or fantasy. I think perhaps the main point is to view the entire thing as what it is, a story about a story. The reality is questionable in part, yes, but what is not questionable was the goal of Eri herself, and perhaps the goal that Yuta himself eventually claimed. To create something, and then to become it. It is said of Bach and Mozart, Shakespeare and Homer, they did indeed die, yes, their bones are stardust and sand, but they also became music. They became plays and myths and stories themselves. Perhaps Eri died, perhaps she was a vampire, perhaps the whole thing was an act in this metaphorical play about a movie in a manga, I do not know. But she did become a story. She helped in the crafting of something in which a part of her became something else. The image of Eri viewed by hundreds in a theater became truth, became memory, became reality. In that manner, the real Eri becomes subsumed by the idea of this wonderful vampire girl. Fantasia has devoured reality. Reality is a story we tell ourselves to keep it grounded, yes. But at times, the story can change. At times, banality bows to fantasy. The two dance and fight, and one bows again, and so on until the end of time and modern man. This thing you are listening to right now, me, the Mariner, is not in reality me. Surprise, I know. I am just a recording of an actual spoken flesh and blood voice. I am not speaking genuinely without premeditation. Even if I make mistakes, if there are a couple hundred of you listening, then there are a couple hundred new images of me, the Mariner, out there, which will, in theory, have subsumed the dozens of family members or friends within my more personal life. And isn't that fascinating? In broad respect, this digital avatar has the potential to become more real than me in terms of psychospace and the realms of ideas. Should I die in 100 years, this theoretical version of me will live on in these digital hallways, even if only to one or two people. But the real me will be long since dead and gone. I don't know if this matters or not. I address this for my own amusement. I just think it's kind of neat. Make up your own mind on it. I will write, I will create, and I hope you all do as well. For myself, for success, for joy, and for the digital immortality. Let's go, baby. I will live forever. I love Goodbye Eri. I love this stupid, eldritch, incomprehensibly intimate fantasy. Vampire Girl, go read it or don't. Do whatever you want. I want to wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or just an excellent winter. I wish you all the best for the coming year. Let's make it an interesting one, shall we? The world can be boring, banal, brutalistic, boring, and everything else miserable besides. So it is our job, my friends, to add a little excitement, a little bit of fear and terror, to cast nightmares and dreamscapes across everything in our lives. Let's add a little fantasy, my friend, for you and me and everybody else. Let's end things with a bang, shall we? Hey, if you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Hit the button. You know the button, the like and subscribe button. Hit the button. Hit the thing. There is this scene early on in Goodbye Eri where Yuta shows off his first film to this school festival of sorts, and it is overwhelmingly ridiculed. Right? I mean, one of the worst things I think that you can have happen to you as someone who like builds something, whatever it is, right? It doesn't have to be like a graphic novel or a manga or a movie or anything. It could be anything you've made. One of the worst things that could happen is for people to see it and then just laugh at it. You know, it's that god awful that all it gets is laughter, and that was something that could have overwhelmingly been the case with these these silly video essays that I make. It could have just been a case where 90% dislike to like ratio, people despise them, and but even if the audience has been small, the positive feedback, it's been very encouraging. And so I don't know, it's just a case of where I think that people should at the very least try to put themselves out there, because even if the entire metaphorical theater of people hate what you're doing, maybe you'll find that one person who it rings with, and I guess that's one of the reasons why the story sticks with me. It's just a case of you do what you want, you hope things will turn out well. Sometimes you can't tell, but that's kind of all there is to it. And so I thank you, the metaphorical theater of viewers and listeners out there, for watching these videos and for liking them. And I'll see you all in the next year. And take care. It'll be a fun one, I think, people. Got a lot of big projects coming. Take care.